the roundtables of the Rise World Summit are really the signature event because they are so exclusive and is based on the basic non-negotiable, as we say it, of no panels, no presentations, because that's the prerequisite for any kind of deep conversations, and that's exactly what we hope to have over here. Before I get into the whole format of it, I would definitely want to set the stage and the context for our conversation today. And we will have that happening with us with no other than Anshu Gupta, which I think everybody over here, 101%, know about him popularly as the clothing man. Anshu, as you all know, is the founder of Gunj. He has done his mass communications not once, but twice, and masters in economics as well. He started as a freelance journalist and then, of course, left a corporate job and founded Gunj in 1999. His mission to make clothing a matter of concern and to bring it among the list of subjects for the development sector is known to all of us, and the passion with which he does it is definitely not something is most inspiring, right? And the reason, not while there are so many reasons for Anshu to be this, global leader, I think the most important is that he also started as a Ashoka fellow and a global ambassador of Ashoka. So he understands what it means to be a fellow and taking things as a change maker. Anshu is creating a mass movement for recycling and the reuse of tons of waste material by channelizing it from cities to village as a resource for rural development. A powerful and inspiring person, as we all know him. I think I'm looking forward to hear Anshu on how he has used innovation, leadership, village development, the power of youth and social entrepreneurship to really change the lives of millions. Anshu, and of course, yes, I'm sorry, one last thing I do want to add, and again, something that most of us know, but bears reiterating, is that he has won so many awards. He's been, really recognized for his work in so many ways. But perhaps one that definitely needs listing is the Magsaysay Award, which he received in 2015, among the others like Forbes, CNN, IBN, Ashoka Swab Fellowship, Curry Stone Design Prize, and many more. Anshu, over to you. And really looking forward to hearing you speak.
Thank you, Karen, for this huge biodata kind of thing, and thank you for organizing this beautiful forum. I'm sorry I couldn't make it yesterday for the opening one, but I'm there for the closing one as we discussed. So my few minutes are not going to be honest, Gunj specific, because anyone who is interested in Gunj and knowing the model and what we're doing. Now we are there in parts of 20 states with more than 1,000 people as an organization, and trying to do our bit. More importantly, trying to challenge the lenses and the language which we have been using, across the globe in the field of development and when we work together, kind of thing. That is up on website. That is a lot of videos. Google has a lot of information. But I think today, a few minutes. I will spend on this specific topic of youth, and I also want to start with a very simple myth with which all of us need to deal with, and we need to come out of it. That the fact remains that youth becoming change maker is nothing new at all. Large number of people across the globe, when they started, they were youth only. That's what we often forget, when people see people like us with a little bit of white beard, they start talking about youth. And then we say, listen, across the globe, youth were the one who were most troubled, and youth were the one who took actions.
Absolutely.
Youth were the one who were, it was possible for them to action, and their blood was boiling in so many things. So if you see all the Krantis across the globe, those were initiated by the youth, those were run by the youth, and then they actually forced all other age group to become a part of this movement. And what we all need to recognize is that a large number of those youth took actions when we didn't have this kind of facility or networks and talking to each other and these seminars and conferences or an ecosystem which can support you, or if you are sad, you can really go to some other similar kind of person and talk to that person. If you have a challenge, if you have a problem, you can attend a workshop or seminar, paid, unpaid, and talk to people. Or you have a lot of professors who can talk about it. You have a lot of practitioners who can talk about it. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that this is the best opportunity for the youth again, to do as much as possible. Because we are living in a troubled world, extremely troubled world. There is no report which gives us any hope. There is no report which talks about that the poverty is reduced or inequality is going away. I mean, the fact remains, and as we will always remember, and I will call it criminal, in the history of my lifetime, that exactly when the world was going through the worst phase of poverty and joblessness and hunger, the rich of this world started a space tourism. How do you really accept this? And we are the witness of that part of history. We are unfortunately part of that history. Or in India, when more than half of our population is going through a very tough time, the 40 people are added in the list of the richest people in the country or in the world. So where it is going? And if our blood doesn't boil on these things, when will it happen? How will it happen? Who will question? And who will find an answers? And I'm not saying that everyone has to get into a movement mode, fine, and go on the road. I mean, there are positive movements. There are scalable work. There are new ideas on which we need to work. We also need to understand what I've been saying, that there is nothing like post-COVID. Nothing at all like post-COVID, because COVID is not about a health disease. COVID, fine. I mean, it started with a health crisis, but for millions and billions of people, it is about hunger. It is about absolutely reversed demography. I mean, if you go to the village today of India and you see the kind of population which has gone from the cities. I mean, imagine 20, 30 years back, so many people were forced to migrate to the cities. And I'm again saying this especially in the context of youth. Like I'm a migrated person, fine, because I migrated from Dehradun for my studies. But do remember that my migration was by choice. It was not a compulsion. For most of us, it was not a compulsion. Okay, it was possible for us to survive and maybe a little bit grow in our own cities also. Millions and millions of people across the globe and in India who have been migrating. It's a forced migration. When you say that slums are the extension of the cities, it's a wrong notion. If slums are the extension of the cities, people like me and you would have gone and stayed there. Slums are the extension of the villages. Because we don't care, because we didn't care for 70% of our population, and we came up with all these nonsensical theories where we thought that removing poverty means bring people from villages to cities. A lot of people have been promoting this, I don't know why, as if they have already solved the problem of the poverty or whatever in the cities and bringing more people. Right? So slums are the extension of the villages. And because we didn't take care of people, and that was a proof last year and this year that how millions of people tried to go back to their roots because they were forced to migrate to the cities. Now, all these are big challenges for all of us, and all these are giving us opportunity to look deeper into the non-issues, look deeper into the causes of these issues. That why does it happen? Instead of, as I always say, that instead of treating malaria, many of us need to get into the business of killing the mosquitoes. And one important part in India is focus as much as possible in the villages. The fact remains that today, in 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 rupees, you can still survive in the village, okay, and can live a much better, dignified life In 15,000 rupees, dignity I'm not even talking about, schools I'm not even talking about. You end up staying in a slum and end up, living your life as a third grade citizen. And when the crisis happen, large number of people like us do not care for those people, and we leave them on the roads. So just in nutshell, because I want a lot of people to contribute to this session, and it's such a beautiful format, Karen, the way you guys have developed this entire summit, where there's no panel, there's no speaker, and all of us can talk. I think this is a time when especially the youth in this country and in the world need to go deeper, need to understand that Google is not the source for any kind of knowledge. Google is a very selective reading. I often tell people that I ask people that how many of us have ever typed, type something on the Google which says happy farmer or skilled farmer. If we just type distressed farmer or distress in farming, Google will throw 1,000 articles like that. So it's important for all of us to go in the field and experience it. That's number one. Number two, all of us need to understand that by creating roti.com, we don't get roti. It's a notion. So, when all this tech thing happen, only two things happen in the case of roti. A, you book online, and B, you pay online. Every single thing apart from this is human. The potato is grown by a human, cut by a human, transported by a human, converted into a burger by a human, delivered by a human, and even the garbage of that packaging material is cleared by the human. So all of us in this youth space need to come out of it and understand that technology is a part to speed up our dreams and make sure that we work in volume and at a scale. But technology itself is not a solution. Again, repeating, by creating roti.com, we don't get roti. All of us need to remember that. Thank you very much. Right now, I'll stop. And maybe that is the reason, because I'm again and again saying that we have to go deeper. We have to work at the root. And that is the reason many of us need to impact the policies. We are not the preachers. We are not the politicians that we will do like this and people will listen to us. No, people will only follow when we practice. Absolutely. So it's not about preacher or politician. It is just about practice. Then only people will follow the good work. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anshu. I think that was really a call to action and a challenge, because I think most people tend to think of technology as this panacea, as this, solution for everything that we have. And so powerful. I think you're already seeing in the chat box people's, comments and feedback that really shows how much that resonated with each one of them. And I think truly, I think, we need people like you in many ways, but I think especially at places like this where people are thinking through issues to kind of think deeper. Rather than have this, like you said, the .com solutions where we think everything will get done, we need to really, challenge ourselves and think deeper. And with that, I would just like to say that that's exactly the basis of the format of our roundtables, where we actually start with challenges. So what I would request everybody is, because we want to save our time, and many people say, oh, to us it's long time for webinars, people don't stay for more than an hour. Yesterday 3 of our roundtables went over by 10 minutes, and that also only because we capped it at that. If I had allowed it to go further, we'd have easily be speaking for another 1 hour. So I want to make sure that we use every minute of the time really effectively and very usefully. So may I request that you please, everybody, can you please use the chat box to introduce yourselves and put it, because we have many wonderful people right now on this table with us. So if you could just put a line or two about yourself, we will put as you speak, we will put your full profile. But right now, as an introduction, so people quickly know you. If you can put it in the chat box, will be really great. Secondly, as Deepak said, if you want to rename yourself, and I will do it for myself as well over here, just add maybe your city or country, and we will be able to know where you're coming from and the organization. So that again will be really awesome to do. And and from there we get started into how this roundtable will unfold. So as I mentioned, we first start with challenges, right? We first talk about challenges. From challenges, we will move to capabilities, and finally to collaboration. So obviously we need to speak to the room, we need to speak to the things that we're talking about rather than talking about what we are doing and how we're doing it. So let's start with the challenges, look at what are the obstacles and issues. Let's talk about what are the solutions, what are people doing that is actually meeting some of those challenges or give you greater ideas for new solutions and innovations. And finally, of course, because we want to make sure we have outcomes, we want to make sure that this is not just about an event today, but this is about building outcomes and associations for continuing post this event. So therefore, obviously look at collaboration. So I would like you to just think before for a few seconds in your mind, okay, which is this part that most is applicable for you to be able to put what you have to offer on this table, because I think everybody here will be able to give us something, and hopefully you will also all take something back with you. So please feel free to use the chat box as much as possible with comments and feedback all the time. Also, last thing is we do have a Q&A, so you can put it over there. For those of you who must be wondering that we are not really doing a webinar kind of a format. So I know it's written there panelists and attendees, but that's not really the reason why we're doing this. The reason is, if many of you have probably attended events in the physical world where there are larger numbers in the round table, we have an inner circle and then we have an outer circle, right? So this is exactly the way we're doing it. Also, from a technology point of view, only attendees can put question and answers. So that is why we want to ensure that those who we feel will want to use this as an opportunity for learning and to kind of talk to our experts gives them a direct chance to do that. So therefore, this is why it is this separation. But otherwise, our roundtables are open for everybody to use some channel or the other to be able to have their voice heard and be a part of the roundtable. Every single one of you are important to this. Yeah. So let's get started. And, because this is a youth changemaker roundtable, I think we must call on a youth to really set the tone and kind of, get us understanding the challenges from their voice rather than us talking about what all we are doing to make things happen. And so from my side, I also want to, I'm so sorry, this is really bad of me, but I also want to say that I will be co-moderating this session along with Anand Krishna, who is the founder of Sekru Foundation. And before that, for 10 years, was with the Jagriti Yatra. Again, I think, everybody knows about the Jagriti Yatra and how much of impact that has happened on youth who have decided to finally move forward and be change makers themselves, right? I also have with me Naresh Karmakar, who is the director at BNI and also with Habitat for Humanity and multiple other hats that he has worn, who will also work with us and help us to make sure that we get the best out of this conversation and go back with a lot of takeaways. Yeah. So thank you both for being here with us. And yes, we will, as I said, get started. So I'm going to ask Akash. Is Akash here with us? Akash Shroff? Just want to recheck before I start.
Yes. Hi, Karen. I'm here.
Karen is there. You're on mute, Karen. Yes, Akash, I think while Karen gets back online, why don't you
I'm sorry.
introduce yourself?
No, I'm so sorry, my mistake. Yeah, but yes, I think that's also a good idea. And no introduction. Let's just get into the actual conversation. I will do that introduction for you, Akash. My apologies for this. Yeah. So Akash is the co-founder at US Spark, a UN volunteer awardee, a Diana awardee, Forbes Teenpreneur, Ashoka Young Changemaker. So a lot that he has done, and really very quickly, Akash, what we're going to ask you. And of course, I'm going to request everybody that, to be very concise and brief so that we get as many voices in the room into the conversation. So Akash, we're going to start with you because I think, as you say very clearly, every young person has the power to become a change maker. And with that, please, over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Karen. So, I mean, first of all, I'm overwhelmed to just be here. When I look at the other members present here, all of you have so much more experience than I do. I honestly don't know how much I'll actually, how much of a meaningful conversation I'd be able to contribute today. Because when I look at all of you, so many of you have run organizations for so long and you've had such an amazing impact that honestly, I'm overwhelmed. But thank you so much for inviting me here. And I definitely think I would love to add to my 2 cents to this discussion. So I founded my nonprofit when I was a high school student back in 2018. I'm currently an undergraduate student at Vitspilani. So over the course of the last 3.5 years, I think my nonprofit has grown from just being a 2-member organization to engaging about 600 plus volunteers from 35 plus institutions. And we've impacted people across 8 different districts in 3 different states, primarily through our child welfare and education focused nonprofits, working with government children orphanages and after school centers. So in this, so the primary issue that I would like to discuss today is, I think a lot of us keep speaking about why it is important for young people to take action, why it is important for young people to create change, right? So one of the major issues that I think I came across when I founded the organization was that a lot of teenagers today, a lot of young people today are aware of social issues. They know that there's poverty in the world. They know that there's, there are issues with inclusivity, there are issues with environment, there are issues with gender, livelihoods, there are a lot of issues. And especially with all the sensitization programs that the schools, all of our schools have been running, all our colleges have been running, a lot of people are aware of the issues. But I think the major gap that we as a community need to address probably is the transition between awareness to activation, right? Most of the young people today are aware of the issues, but what differentiates a person from just being a young person and being a young change maker is activation and the willingness to and the action. So most of them actually have the intent to create change, or they're actually aware of the issues, but they aren't able to translate it into action. Because when I founded my organization, so this was a conversation which I actually had with my own classmates, right? A lot of them said, hey, there's an orphanage near school, there's an old age home near school. I want to help the people. And when I asked them, how do you think you can help the people? This was the answer they gave me, that one day I'm going to grow up, I'm going to earn a lot of money, and I'm going to donate all my money, because that is what a lot of teenagers today think change making is. So to, sort of provide a direction for this discussion, I think it would be more important for all of us to focus on how we can make more young people realize the power that they themselves as young people have, right? So when I started volunteering, when I got more of my friends together, and we just through the power of stories managed to tell people, hey, even though we are teenagers, this is how we're able to help people. A lot more people actually join, and I think that is where even Ashoka's Everyone a Change Maker movement can sort of, probably everybody can resonate with it, because this clearly demonstrated how a lot of young people have the power to become change makers. Because for me personally, I was somebody who had severe social anxiety. 4 years ago, I found it, there's no way I would have been here speaking at this platform, or, I had severe stage fright. And I had so much social anxiety that I found it difficult to even have normal conversations. I found it very difficult to ask a waiter for a glass of water, or do simple actions like asking somebody for directions. But the process of becoming a change maker is something which has empowered me to become a better individual in life as well. So I think these are some of the issues that we need to focus on, how we can activate more young people to become change makers.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you. That was great. I'm going to ask Sanskriti now from a rural area to give her perspective. Sanskriti, are you there? आप हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हैं संस्कृति जी.
या जैसे आकाश ने बोला या फिर अभी अंशु सर ने बोला है कि अंशु सर ने जैसे बोला कि मतलब उनके हिसाब से मेरा एक था कि लोकल से ग्लोबल जाए. एक्चुअली मैंने एक गांव में काम किया है, तो मुझे पता है कि लोकल लेवल पे क्या सिचुएशन रहती है. हम लोग अगर ग्राउंड लेवल पे काम करें तो ऐसे हमें जब काम करते हुए काम करना चाहिए, तो हम लोग लोकल से ग्लोबल जाए. दूसरी बात जैसे आकाश ने बोला कि एवरीवन इज अ चेंज मेकर, या अशोका का टैगलाइन है कि एवरीवन इज अ चेंज मेकर, जहाँ पे हमारा एक प्रोग्राम चल रहा है कि हम लोग चलाते हैं पहचानो ही सोच नहीं, मीन्स ओल्ड आइडेंटिटी बट न्यू थिंकिंग, जहाँ पे हम लोग जो बर्थ एनिवर्सरी सेलिब्रेट करते हैं महापुरुषों की, जो महापुरुष आज सबके लिए इंस्पायरेबल है. स्पेशली महाराष्ट्र में गांव के जो बच्चे रहते हैं स्कूल में, वो सारी चीजें हम लोग मतलब सेलिब्रेशन करते हैं. तो हम लोग पहचान हुई सोचने के थ्रू लोगों में मतलब जो तरीका है हम लोग बर्थ एनिवर्सरी वगैरह सेलिब्रेट करने का, उसका तरीका चेंज करते हैं, जिसके कारण बच्चों में इंस्पायरेशन बढ़े और वो भी एक चेंज मेकर की तरह बढ़े.
तो संस्कृति जी, आपको ये चैलेंज क्या चैलेंज आपने फेस किया ये करते समय? कोई एक चैलेंज आप बता सकती है?
ऑब्वियसली जब हम लोग मतलब काम करते थे तो लोगों तक पहुंचने का तरीका हमें पहला बहुत बड़ी चैलेंज थी, क्योंकि गांव में इतना हम लोग मतलब सारी चीजें मोबाइल वगैरह इतना यूज नहीं करते हैं. मैंने खुद ने पिछले साल से एक एंड्रॉइड फोन ले लिया है और मैं यूज करती हूँ. तो ऑब्वियसली ये चैलेंज रहा है कि हम लोग लोगों तक कैसे पहुंचे. तो सोशल मीडिया का चैलेंज था मेरे लिए.
थैंक यू संस्कृति जी. मैं अभी प्रियस्वरा को बुलाता हूँ, वो भी एक और ज्योग्राफी से बिहार से बता सकती है. प्रियस्वरा जी, आप हैं इधर?
Hello. Anand, just one very quick thing, because we have people from other parts of the world also with us just now.
Sure, of course.
So what we'll do is maybe, in a couple of lines, if we could just put it in the chat box.
Right.
That would really help people to also know.
Right.
Yeah. So just a couple of lines also of what Sanskriti said, I think will really be so valuable for other people as well. And that will help us to get examples from other parts of the world too about what we are discussing, right? Okay, right. Great.
So Karan, I would like to invite Ashok Rathod now. Ashok Rathod from the Oscar Foundation. Ashok, great to connect with you again. Ashok, well, you were actually one of the first finalists, rather, in the first batch of Ashoka Youth Ventures, which is now Ashoka Young Changemakers, way back in 2008 with the Oscar Foundation. So my question to you is this. One is like, what were the challenges that you were addressing when you created Oscar? What was it trying to do? And secondly, I mean, from there, you have taken this organization global. You impacted more than 21,000 young people across the country. What were the challenges that came in the way from starting at that small NGO level in a place in Mumbai and taking it to scale across the world? If you could just share it with us that.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Naresh sir, and giving me this platform and inviting me to everyone has done an amazing job. So when I started this Oscar Foundation, that time I was 18 years old, and I have grown very difficult life, because in the slum, it's very easy to drop out school and making money, earn and support the families, and involving in addiction, in crime. I have seen this with my friends. But I always thank my father, because he saved my life. He mentored me, he guided me to go to school. And because my father also he's a fisherman. So he don't want to be like the same, because it's very risky job what he's doing. So he don't want me to do the same profession what he was doing. So that's why he was guiding me, and he motivated me from the government school. When I was 18 and I realized that the younger children, they are also drop out in school and making money and involving in addiction. So then I realized why this is happening. In my time also the same thing was happening, and now this generation also doing the same thing, and this cycle is keep going on. Then I started thinking about that, why this is, because of why this happening, because of the lack of role model in the community. There is no good role model. So whoever like wearing good clothes or roaming around with a like with a gang fighting, that kind of was the role model was there. And I thought that if we make a good role model, the younger generation will have a to follow good people. So that's why I thought I will make a, through football I will channel their energy in the education and sports, and then motivate them to the complete their school and be a role model for their own community. So it started with the 18 children. Now more than 1,000 youths we have trained, and these youths are playing for custom in government department, in the private bank, playing for national level. Then also now these youths, what they learn from us, they are helping their own community children. And now the children want to become like a Govind, who went, he was a dropout school in the sixth standard. He completed his graduation from Mumbai University. He went to the Germany, done his diploma. Now he's helping me to expand this program in many other states. So we have like that kind of stories, and the youths are following. The parents are now bringing their children and telling us to, I want to, can you help my children become like a Govind or Sunita? So it not just children mindset. We are not just created the role model. We change the mindset of the community through this football. Because before, parents were not bringing their daughter, they were not giving them chance to play or sending them school. But now we have a Nagma or we have a Gulab Shah, this kind of story, who went they abroad and become a role model. So now parents, that gender also, we thoughts also change, and they believe in equality.
Thank you so much, Ashok. And I remember hearing Ashok many years ago, and it's so good to reconnect with you after so long. While I, of course, tracked you all a lot in the beginning, you have grown so fast, I can't track you all anymore.
Karen, no,
I remember Ashok once saying that not only that people want to be the role model, C and B as for the role models, but they also all getting their passports done, because they have gone worldwide now. It's not just about in India, but the kind of work that he's done is become so valuable and famous across the world. So I think you, like you said rightly in that talk, children now are all trying to make their passports quickly.
Yes. Right.
So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Ashok. And I think your honesty and your passion, I think, comes through every time I hear you speak, and it's just so beautiful. So thank you for joining, and thanks for Naresh to bring him back into our circle again. Yeah. So
Karan, the thing is, I kind of met Ashok. I was a mentor in the first session for Ashoka Youth Ventures when I was out there, and I never forgot that first day that I met him. He's been an inspiration. He's really been an inspiration.
Absolutely. Great. So I think we've heard from 3 young, change makers who as youth and as now founders of movements, founders of foundations, I think are creating phenomenal, multiplying their impact far beyond what they had thought about. And of course, as Akash put it so beautifully, that ultimately it's about moving from awareness to action. And I think, a lot of people, a lot of organizations are trying to do that, create action, but they also have challenges. They want to work with youth, they want to work for youth, they want to, bring the youth together, but at the same time, they also face a lot of issues. And I would love to hear some of those kind of challenges on the ground in terms of, how are people working with that, right? And so I think, first off, I then ask Joby, you have been doing, yes, you just spoke about the teenager programs. Maybe I should bring that only in. So Joby Matthew has been working on the working with teenagers and trying to showcase them, for many years. How many years is that? I think maybe 15 years or maybe longer too, right? Yeah. So maybe you can give us some of your insights of having worked with youth, and what are the challenges you face working with youth?
Yes, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Naresh, and everyone. I've been working with the youth for the past 20 years in the capacity as the publisher of a youth magazine called The Teenager Today, which is into publication for the past 59 years. Okay. I really liked what Akash said beginning, because this is what every youth with so much of energy and enthusiasm and so much of creative power say, that we are very small as compared to everybody else. But after what Akash and Ashok shared, we the adult in this group would say that we are so small as compared to what these youngsters can really achieve and do. From my experience of working with the youth, I must say that you give them something to believe in and to be creative. You never know how they go overboard, because this is directly coming from my experience of organizing a program for the youth called Teen of the Year. We started off in 1996, and since then I've seen young people coming from different parts of India. People as Ashok or Agar said, they are so frightened, and they are so timid, but give them an opportunity, give them a platform. They really excel and come up with so creative and innovative ways to deal with various challenges of the world. And what I have found is they are responsible, as against we have the common myth that youth is so carefree. They are really responsible, but you trust them. If you trust the youth and give them an opportunity, a platform, they're responsible. They will give 100% of what they have within to bring about a change. And there may be youth who, as Akash said, who want to do things or want to contribute to the world. When they make a lot of money, they will make money, but they may not do anything. But a vast majority of them are people who want to do action. They move from awareness to action, and they sustain themselves. So one simple example is, as part of the Teen of the Year program, we started projects. So projects where we give them a theme, and we ask the youth, the participants, to come out with a social impact project. And one of the projects that still stand out, and it continues, which started in 2007, is called Korak Kagaz. Means just collect the unused sheets from your notebook, bind them into a book, and distribute it. And this was an idea of a class 9 student from Chennai, Shriya Prakash, and it has simply gone viral, in the sense, even today, although she is working, she is part of that movement, which is completely taken out by volunteers from her own school and her own friends, and the project is still on. So it is the power of youth. The challenge, before I conclude, the challenge that we all face is oftentimes the adults are controlling the youth, and we don't believe in them.
Absolutely.
And we try to put blocks and say, from our experience or from our fear, we say, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. And that kind of blocks them. If you let them go, of course, they may make mistake, as all of us have made mistakes in our life. Guide them, and you have amazing results. And last point, in that light, we are also the Teenager Today magazine association, in collaboration with the Rotary and Rotaract Club of Mumbai Brave Hearts and Kindness Unlimited and the World Kindness Movement. We're just starting off a new project called Year of Kindness. We want to launch it on the 1st of March, where we are inviting the youth to be to promote a kind world.
Very nice.
Because we believe in their power, and if they start doing it, and the adults will be inspired, definitely they can bring about a change. So the power of the youth, trust in them, that's my one takeaway. Second, we adults need to give them the freedom.
Right.
and explore or give them an opportunity, a platform to explore their potentialities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think
Karan, if I may have a follow-up question, a small follow-up question, because yesterday again, the people, we had speakers who said that there's this big gap between, we have a lot of these courses today in school about the environment, etc. I don't know what the ECS and other things, and sometimes there's lip service out there as well. I need those points. Let me do something. There are so many now. I think the teenager has been in existence for 59 years now. And it goes across the country, right?
Wow.
And and it's always been a value-based magazine. You haven't given in to the crass commercialization that happens over a period of time because revenues are important. Now, I want to ask you, because that becomes a powerful medium of change for young people. What have been some of the challenges in running this magazine and bringing that, getting that voice out and having more young people? What are the challenges you've faced in that? Very quickly, if you could help us.
Yeah, sure. See, one basic challenge is, as you said, the revenue. Nobody wants to associate themselves with a magazine where you're only focusing on values. Okay, when I talk in terms of commercial advertisements, number one. Number two is there's a myth that the young people do not read. They are not interested in print magazine. They are not interested in values. But I have seen, and Naresh knows, that the people who have read magazines, books when they were teenagers, and they continue to read even as adults, mother, and they promote. So it's not that they don't read. And we do. We continue to publish this magazine because we have people, our readers, coming back and telling us that this has really helped us to grow in life. This has really made us responsible, made us confident, and it has been a contributing factor to our life as adults.
Absolutely. And I must tell you, while I didn't read it as a teenager, as you can imagine from my age,
no.
Yeah, but those books helped me too. I'm not kidding, right? I mean, the magazine helped me as well. So I think the value of both two things. One is just the habit of reading. Okay, just the habit of reading, I think, is so critical to inculcate. But the second is also the content, which is so rich and powerful. And I'm sure from this roundtable, Joby, you are going to get many more teenagers to feature and talk about, but you'll also possibly look at partnerships with others who are working with, with the youth, So I want to call in next is Swati, who's the WASH specialist at UNICEF. Is she here? Swati, can I quickly call you in?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Karan. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Swati. So please, if you can share, because, UNICEF has got multiple programs with youth. If you could tell us a little, both from a challenges as well as capabilities. Don't worry, we can be iterative about this. Just as long as we address all the three buckets, we are happy to have that conversation rolling. Yeah, over to you, Swati.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I first want to say that it was really great to hear from youth advocates themselves. And I think this is really what UNICEF's role is in India, which is to listen to youth advocates and only lead programs in support of them and not, for them or on their behalf. I come from a background of WASH and climate change. And so over the last couple of years, we've kind of grown our initiatives and our programs around providing adolescents and youth various types of support, from skilling to building soft skills as well. And last year, one of my team members and I, we did a landscaping analysis. So which is a fancy term to just say that we went around and interviewed about 80 different stakeholder groups, either youth themselves directly or youth inclusive organizations or youth-led organizations or youth champions. We tried to cover different types of organizations, and we asked, okay, when it comes to climate change and WASH, what do youth want? How do they feel that they're being targeted, and what do they feel are the gaps that exist? And I think it was Akash who said it really well. One of the key findings that came out was just the lack of role models. I think there's just often the role models might be like us, like unfortunately the way that we're doing it right now, you know, we're speaking in Hindi. There's not like a lot of there's not enough local leaders who care and are, you know, demonstrating what climate change action, like climate action and environmental action can look like. And this, so while this is not, while this project was done in support of, you know, growing our environmental portfolio, I think there's some lessons came out that can be applied across the table for whatever programs any organization is doing. So it was need for role models. There's need for action-oriented content. So there's a lot of advocacy, but I think there's a lot of youth who we've interviewed said that there's still a disconnect between, okay, yes, we care about this. Now, what do we do? And that next step is not as concrete, as made as concrete by us, you know, the technical experts. And so that's an area that we need to focus on going forward. They also want regular access to reliable information. One of the challenges is that often in India, we might, and in many other countries, honestly, we tend to roll things out in campaign modes, saying, you know, here's a challenge, here's a hackathon, here's this, here's that. But then that information is not accessible over long periods of time. So this kind of converges on knowledge management as well. Like, how do we set up like centralized and universally accessible repositories where youth can come back to again and again to refresh and learn and also to contribute themselves. And then in addition to access to role models, youth really want mentorship. I think, again, we tend to do a lot of campaigning, we tend to do a lot of advocacy rollout, but what they want is that support and you know, often mentorship such as job shadowing, where, you know, experts in different fields can have youth follow them around, or, you know, at least it's even easier on digital platforms these days for them to join in meetings to kind of see what it looks like, you know, connect their aspirations to a reality that already does exist, but they're not able to see right now. And, you know, there's also internships. So a lot of private sector partners and people come to us asking us, you know, what can we do to support youth? What can we do to support youth? And we say internships, give them access to paid jobs. Also, internships cannot be unpaid. They need to be paid. That's the only way that you can encourage equitable access to role models and also to growth and career development. There's this global problem of saying that because youth are passionate, because they have this energy and they're totally willing to support a job, that everything needs to be happening in volunteer mode. And that's just not sustainable, and that's not fair. And that also leaves out people who cannot afford to work for free. And then finally, I think a couple of other things that came up was the importance, the need to overcome climate anxiety. So mental health access and support and rhetoric really needs to be part of all portfolios that we support across different organizations. And then soft skills. I think this also came up where, yeah, we can talk to youth about climate change topics and they can be really interested, but without universal investment in soft skills where we're helping them communicate more clearly, they're developing the cover letters and the CVs that they need. They're able to do an elevator pitch where in 3 minutes they can clearly communicate their inspiration, their motivation, and what they want to change in the world. And digital literacy, I think the guest speaker from Goonj said really well, you know, we can't rely on Google for everything, but at the same time, Google is a reality, but we need to help youth figure out how to leverage the tools that we have in front of us in a smart and strategic way, which is critical thinking. And so one challenge we've seen really come to the forefront over the last few years is misinformation shared around on WhatsApp. And I think because everyone was so overwhelmed and stressed, it's really hard to spend time to see what is truth and what is myth. And so critical thinking skills in combination with greater access to digital literacy can really improve the way that we ourselves, as well as the next generations, are able to use the tools that are available to us. So these are all things that came out of our assessment, and you can let me know when I should stop. But yeah, you can stop me. And so we're just supporting programs now to try to figure out how we can address all of these different issues.
I think
Thank you.
UNICEF is doing so much with youth
Yeah.
and multiple programs and verticals. And last year, we actually had a whole roundtable with Yuva, where I think one of the big things that we did realize was about the mentoring. And, one of the ideas that came out of it is some kind of a buddy program that we could probably look at doing. And, my thought has always been that youth are not leaders of tomorrow, as Akash said. They are the citizens of today. They are the citizens of today, and we really need to leverage that to kind of make it happen. Since we are on UNICEF, I just want to bring Yusuf in real quickly to talk about the Maji Sundaram curriculum and the current, very recent work that has happened, because I think that's phenomenal work with the government, and it's good for everybody here to know about it, because I'm sure there is a lot that can be taken forward. Yusuf, can I call you in real quick to say a few words on that?
Yeah, sorry, colleagues. I'm traveling, so I'm just switching my video off.
No problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. So something that what happens with the I think Anshu and also other colleagues told very nicely that when it comes to the problem, youth face the problem, and they also come out with the solutions much better than us, because we speak more and do less. That's the problem with the adults. So one of this idea came with the Maji Vasundhara, that why can't we inculcate some green habits. Maji Vasundhara is a flagship program of a Government of Maharashtra Department of Environment and Climate Change, which is led by none other than Mr. Aditya Thackeray, who is a 72 years young minister. I won't say the 32 years young minister. I don't say 30 years old, because being a youth, so he understands the passion for the youth. So the idea was that if we EVS has always been a kind of a subject in schools and colleges, when any teachers or the speak last about it, because you don't have to pass just pass the EVS. It is no grading and nothing. It's just a book. So the idea was that whether we can inculcate these green habits and greening of the school syllabus, considering the different agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra. We have 9 agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra, including urban, tribal, issues with the slums, and come out with certain activity-based lessons plans. So based on that, last 1 year, along with the RCUS, CE, Center for Environment Education, and UNICEF Mumbai office, and of course the department, we developed these lessons plans. I don't call it as a curriculum, because it is activity-based learning. And last year, it is only handed over to Education Department, because as you know that Bal Bharti everywhere, MSCRT, SCRT, they have their own system of reviewing the syllabus, and they're in the process of integrating, and it will be across the all government schools of Maharashtra. So we have 110,000 government schools of Maharashtra, Jilla Parishad schools or other urban schools. And I am hopeful in a phased manner in next 2 to 3 years, we'll be seeing this climate curriculum integrated within the school books, not being rated as a extracurricular activities. I am very much scared about this word extracurricular activities. So I'll stop here.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you very much. I think from
Anand, just one line I want to say about this. I think it's really a continuation of what even Joby mentioned. Ultimately, it has to be something that is part of their daily lives. Then it has that impact. And of course, anything that allows them to read, to understand, goes a long way. So I think this initiative by UNICEF, I think, is brilliant. And we must look at more and more people in terms of how we can take it further and further. So thanks, Yusuf, for sharing that. Yeah. Anant, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Karen. That's good summary of that. Next, I'd like to go to Bihar, a little bit of change of geography, and actually meet a change maker there. Priyasara, are you there? Can you talk a little bit?
Yes.
Please do.
Okay.
Challenges you face being in a setting like Bihar.
Okay. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Priyasara, if you're facing technical issues, I can come back to you in a bit. Hello? I think she might have some technical issues.
Can you give me some minutes? Okay.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Priyasara, till you set out. We switch gears to another sector, which is agriculture, food and nutrition, which is pretty vital. And I like to get Rohit Parak here. He's been a young man who's been involved very deep in policy. And, I like to hear what are the challenges, Rohit, that you face with getting young people involved in policy as you've come into it and been so hands-on in it. Rohit?
Yes, Anant. Anant, can you come again? I lost your voice when you were saying.
Rohit, just talk about what are the challenges you face to get more youth involved in policy, and especially sector-specific like agriculture, food, and nutrition, which has taken such a central stage now, even in the context of climate change. How do we get more youth involved? This is something that we have worked through the years, and we have talked about so many challenges we face trying to get more people involved into this. So, can you explain some specific challenges?
Sure, sure. Anant. So I guess I'll share a couple of things. One being that there are actually a whole lot of youngsters interested in things related to organic farming. It's become quite, quite a cool thing generally now to do and get involved in organic farming. But obviously, there are a whole lot of segments around that, and for people to actually do things in policy space and so on has obviously been a major gap, and this is something that we are struggling to really get people in. But having said that, often people also do not find enough entry routes as well. So this is not a space where you might necessarily have too much of a dedicated segue, dedicated entry route where you do this, you speak to those people, and this is your formal career route or something of that sort. This is something where even the way I found my way around has been very unusual career route in terms of figuring my way, figuring my space path. So the uncertainty, the lack of a structured route, that has been quite challenging for people. And also, so again, you can take work in food, agriculture, and nutrition from a number of different ways. You could look at it exclusively from a social enterprise route. You can look at it from a policy route. You can, look at it from a traditional NGO ish route. Often the people in working in a space are focused on just a space, whereas the true wisdom really is when you are able to work across sectors, work across domain. Even within the domain, work across the different segments as well. So there is the farm union there will be the farm union people, there will be the NGO people, there will be the social enterprise people, and so on. So so it's a lot of people do not see the wider spectrum, the wider picture as well, and even in terms of building that entire perspective, if that makes sense. So just those 2-3 couple of major challenges for people to really find that how to get involved, what are the entry points, and generally people do want some sort of structured career options that and especially for youngsters at the beginning of their careers, even with the interest space. And the second bit being just that the holistic perspective has been something that is I've had to really struggle around and find my way to build that holistic perspective.
Thanks, Rohit. Thanks for that point, and we'll come back to you later in the capabilities section. Karen, do you have anybody else to segue this into? I can go to Anish where he talks about.
Is Priya back? Yeah, she seems to be back.
Priya, are you available?
Yes, I am back.
Go ahead, Priya. Tell us about Bihar and tell us about your challenges you faced.
Okay, so लाइक जैसा सभी ने कहा उन चीजों से एग्री होते हुए, स्पेशली स्वाति से एग्री होते हुए, मेरा भी पॉइंट यही था कि इफ वी आर एंगेजिंग विथ यंग पीपल, यंग चेंज मेकर, वी शुड थिंक, मतलब अगर दैट एंगेजमेंट शुड बी 2 वे, मतलब वो कभी भी 1 वे नहीं होना चाहिए, या मतलब केवल पॉलिसी मेकर्स या डिसीजन मेकर की तरफ से नहीं होना चाहिए, वो मतलब दोनों की तरफ से होना चाहिए. और अगर कोई भी एनजीओ और कोई भी ऐसे कोई भी अगर यूथ के साथ इंगेज करना चाहते हैं, उनके साथ कोलैबोरेट करना चाहते हैं, तो उन्हें यूथ को इंडिपेंडेंट बनाने के बारे में सबसे पहले सोचना चाहिए. और ये एक सबसे बड़ी चैलेंज थी जो मैंने फेस किया था. एंड आई थिंक जो मेरे एज के जो भी यंग पीपल हैं, जो नई शुरुआत करते हैं, नया इनिशिएटिव लेते हैं, वो भी ये चीज फेस करते हैं. क्योंकि अगर हम इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं होंगे, अगर हम उतने सक्षम नहीं होंगे, तो हम कैसे हेल्प करेंगे? तो अगर ये मैं आई थिंक ये बहुत ही मेजर पॉइंट है और इस पे मैं फोकस लाना चाहती थी। पहला तो ये पॉइंट कि अगर आप यूथ के साथ इंगेज कर रहे हैं तो थिंक अबाउट देम, चाहे वो आप उनको किसी तरीके से सपोर्ट करें विद इंसेंटिव्स, लाइक अगर इंटर्नशिप्स हैं तो वो पेड इंटर्नशिप्स होना चाहिए। एंड सेकेंडली, लाइक वन पैनलिस्ट सेड कि हमें बहुत कम आंका जाता है। ये हमारा जो फेज होता है वो बहुत ही ज्यादा हमारे लिए एक ऐसा फेज होता है जब हम बहुत सारी चीजों को एक्सप्लोर करते हैं एंड उसके बाद हम डिसाइड करते हैं कि हमें ये करना है, हमें वो करना है। हम इस टाइम पे मतलब बेबी स्टेप्स लेते हैं, तो उस टाइम पे बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है कि सभी का मतलब एक ट्रस्ट हमारे ऊपर हो कि हाँ, अगर हम कुछ कर रहे हैं तो हम कर सकते हैं। तो यू नीड टू शो द मतलब वो ट्रस्ट हमें आपको हम पर दिखाना होगा। और दूसरी बात, और थर्ड ये कि थोड़ा सा ये गैप हो जाता है कि मैं देखती हूँ कि ज्यादातर इस एज के जो यूथ है ना, उनका क्योंकि सराउंडिंग ऐसा रहता है या घर टीचर्स या घर पे ऐसा बोला गया रहता है कि लाइक आप मतलब यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा उनका मतलब थोड़ा सा जो काम करते हैं वो वही होता है कि कैसे हम मीनिंगफुल तरीके से जो हमारे एज के हमारे साथी हैं, एडोलेसेंट हैं या फिर यंग पीपल हैं, उनको हम अपने साथ मतलब कैसे इंगेज करें मीनिंगफुल तरीके से। तो क्योंकि हमारे अंदर बहुत ज्यादा एक तरीके से एनर्जी होता है, तो उसको एक सही रास्ता भी मिलना चाहिए। मैंने देखा है जो हमारे आसपास के यूथ हैं वो ज्यादातर लाइक या तो इंटरटेनमेंट में जाते हैं, लाइक हमें बोला जाता है कि ये जो फेज है ये मस्ती का फेज है, दोबारा से ये पल नहीं आएंगे, इसका पूरा इस्तेमाल करो, कॉलेज लाइफ है एंड ऑल। तो आई थिंक वो सारी चीजें भी हैं, बट उस चीज को एक मतलब एक लिमिटेशंस में वो चीजें होने चाहिए। उसके साथ साथ हमें मतलब कि इंटरटेनमेंट के साथ कुछ पर्पस भी होना चाहिए। तो ये है कि अगर यूथ है तो हमें थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे जो हमारे बेबी जो हमारा ये फेज है इसमें एक प्रॉपर मेंटरशिप की जरूरत पड़ती है कि हम उस चीज को मतलब एक सही डायरेक्शन में लेके जाएं, ना कि मतलब केवल हम अपना मतलब हमारा जो ये टाइम है, हमारे पास जो एनर्जी है वो कहीं और लगे, कहीं और वेस्ट हो, उससे अच्छा किसी मीनिंगफुल जगह पे वो लगे। तो उसके लिए सबसे बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हम या आप जो ऑलरेडी इस क्षेत्र में काम कर रहे हैं वो हम पे ट्रस्ट करें और हमें इंडिपेंडेंट बनाए। तो बस मेरा यही एक कहना था कि अगर किसी भी यंग चेंज मेकर्स के साथ आप आते हैं तो प्लीज थिंक अबाउट देम आल्सो।
Wow, thank you. That was phenomenal. I think so clear, right? So clear. Can our youth be any more clearer than this in their ask and in their understanding? You know, we as adults talk about participatory. I think what Priya has just told us is what does participatory mean? You know, participatory doesn't mean just asking them one or two questions. It means hand holding them, guiding them. And she spotted so beautifully this one point, this they have so much of energy, and if that energy is not positively channelized, we will all pay the price for it. You know, we have only understood perhaps from one point of view, but there is a negative connotation to that as well. The consequences of not channelizing, not harnessing this energy of what the youth has to offer can have very serious ramifications for us as well. And therefore, it's so critical for us to keep that in mind. But the other word that she used, independent, I think Priya, आपके हर एक शब्द में इतना सारा मतलब unbelievable. I mean, I can't tell you how humbled I am. Ki what we have been trying to talk about, all of us, participatory karna chahiye, voice from the ground and all of that. You have explained it incredibly. Yeah, I think that is again the other part, that while we're talking of participatory, while we're talking of inclusion, while we're talking of bringing them in, also let them be independent. I think, Joby also said that earlier in terms of trust and everything, but I think the way Priya has put it just now, and hearing it from the youth themselves, I think is something that every policy maker, everybody involved in programs must hear this again and again, So thank you very much, Priya. बहुत ही अच्छा लगा आपके बारे में सुन के. Yeah, thank you so much, and getting to know you, and I hope I'll continue to know you more and more after this as well. So from there, we have a person from UNDP as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, but okay, I think we'll come back to that. In the meantime, maybe Naresh, also Rotrack is another big program with youngsters, and you are involved with Rotary as well. Do you want to quickly?
So my take was, for all the Greta Thunbergs and Malala Yousafzais in the world, there are a million young people like Ashok, Akash, Priya, all around, and they are leading their own battles, and they're having their own small victories. So the question which comes to my mind is, would something which is do we need an organized a vehicle, a facility, which can channelize this action of young people to social change? And I think one of the most successful in that has been the Rotrack movement of Rotary. So I would like to have Swati Herkal, who is a nominee, district governor nominee with Rotary International, if she could share with us, that experience, and also some of the challenges they faced in rolling out the entire Rotrack program on the ground. Yeah, Swati, if we could have you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My dear friends, it gives me immense pleasure to be here with you all. It's very interesting and thought-provoking topic to speak on youth changemakers. I'm sure my experience of working in youth and education in my profession and through Rotary initiatives will assist me in giving justice to the topic. Franklin Roosevelt said, "We cannot always build future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." I have many stories to tell you while working with youth. I will share some projects which I have undertaken so that you will come to know with our initiatives. Few years back, Rotary organized one full-time training program for young farmers. NABARD was funding partner with us. Being the presence of all professions in our club, everyone contributed to motivate these young farmers. After completion of the program, NABARD has given a loan of ₹5 lakh to each of the young farmer. All of them started agro-related business with that funding. You'll be surprised, all of them have repaid their loan within 1.5 years period, and also all of them are successfully running their business on scale. As change makers, they can influence outcomes and achieve real change. All we have to do is encourage and mentor them. As rightly Priya said, we have to give them space. Yes, then give them space to do it, and then one can see the miracles like we have seen with these young farmers. I'm staying in Western Maharashtra, and I belong to Rotary Club of Widening. We have Rotrack clubs also, and I'm involved in both the movements, Rotary and Rotrack. In Western Maharashtra, in mountains, there are many villages are deprived from basic amenities. In very first session, Anshu said about migrants, and we have done a lot of work on these migrants also. Agricultural land holding is very less in this area. Youth of age of 15 to 16 means after 10th of exam going to Mumbai or other metro cities to earn. Because of less education, these youth are getting jobs in hotel as a waiter, as a coolie, or as a driver. Those who have little bit capital, they are starting their business for selling vegetables or other things. As these young people are staying away from home, many of them getting addicted, infected from various diseases also. After a few years, family life totally disturbs. On the other hand, women also suffering due to such family problems and not having financial support. There are no other income sources to the family. Only crops they were taken rice and ragi. To address these issues, through Rotary Foundation Global Grant, we have given 6 goats to each family. We have taken promise from them that they will not sell these goats which we have given to them, and will only sell newborn male goats of 30 to 40 kg. Female goats cannot be sold. Also, they have to give one goat back to us for next new project in another village where Rotary wants to start. We have handed over the goats to the villagers, and after few days COVID started. All the people who were staying in metros came back to the villages. They saw the goat farming activity without any capital investment was growing like anything. Their manure was used in rice farms. Everyone was so busy in their family, and everyone was happy as well. Then we have started dialogue with these youngsters. There was uncertainty to going back to the city in these young guys' mind. We asked them to work with uncultivated land to grow more rice. We have shown them the calculations how you can increase the income. If cultivated land increases, they can have more income. How they can earn more without going to cities. How they can enjoy life with staying there together with their families. And the young generation started working like anything. They came together and within 3 months of period, ready to cultivate land holding increased 3 times of that entire village. Same story repeated in nearby villages as well. We are always talking with them, with others, youth in nearby villages. You cannot believe production of rice has been increased by 10 times more. At the same time, population of the goats which we have given also started increasing. Being hilly area, they have more than sufficient free grassland was available for the goats. We told them that about the organic goat farming. No any additional medicines to be given to the goats to increase weight. So
I'm sorry, I'm going to come in a little bit if you don't mind. Completely agree with you that, we need to strengthen village economies if we want to make sure that our youth are not migrating to cities and can create a life of themselves in the villages, in the rural areas. So very, very important point. If you don't mind, just trying to get many more people into the conversation. But definitely, I think what Rotary is doing both at the Rotary level as well as at the Road Track program levels, I think is amazing with youth, as what Naresh was talking about. And for sure, strengthening economy so that we prevent the migration of youth is a very important point that you pointed out over here. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yeah, thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, when you're talking about policies, etc., the UN plays a big role, and we heard from UNICEF about their programs. I do want to bring in UNDP as well, who does a lot of work, and we have with us Vedant Rastogi, who's looks after the strategic design and innovation officer at the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Vedant, are you there with us, and can you come in?
Hi, good morning, Karen. Yeah, I'm here.
Great.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this program, and it was certainly very inspirational to hear from the youth change makers. There's some exceptional work that's happening across our country. At UNDP, most of our work is to support the government of India to implement new and innovative programs, pilots that may not be possible through government's own mechanisms. So I'd just like to bring to your notice a couple of initiatives that we have undertaken in the high altitude Himalayan regions across Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Sikkim, where we realized that it's very important to involve the youth in actually conserving natural resources, biodiversity, and wildlife. There is immense natural resource base in these areas, and one of our key initiatives was to actually protect medicinal plants and wild animals in these high altitude landscapes from the industry, from pharmaceuticals, who often use these natural resources to make medicines. So we involved youth in developing biodiversity management committees, and through the access and benefit sharing mechanism of the Government of India, we involved them in promoting citizen science and documenting their natural resources, so that if tomorrow someone comes in from outside to access their natural resources, they can actually have a say in giving it out to them, or even getting credit for having others access these resources. One such example was that a lot of research happens in this area. For example, IIT Delhi was involved in in accessing nettle fiber from Uttarakhand, and we had an MOU between the youth, the biodiversity management committee in that region, and IIT to ensure that if tomorrow if they come up with a research paper, or they come up with some new technology using that nettle fiber, then the biodiversity management committee of that region gets its due credit in their papers, and if there are products made out of it, then they should get a share of the profits made from that. So similarly, we also wanted to involve youth changemakers in creating a dialogue within the villages, in these high altitude areas. And for that, we initiated this youth video and radio fellowship programs. One of the key issues that we thought people faced was that there were all these famous filmmakers, people making documentaries coming in from outside to these regions, and then they would just finish their work and go away, and then win awards for their documentaries and their films. But we wanted actually the youth to kind of learn these skills, so that they could also present some of the issues that these landscapes, very fragile landscapes, face. So we had about 6 months of mentorship and training in these areas, where about 50 youth kind of developed radio programs. They developed films on various issues of biodiversity conservation, and presented it to their own families, presented it to the villages through large screenings. And that's how it's kind of created a conversation locally about some of the ecological issues faced in that region. Another example I'd like to share, and a very inspirational story for us, was in Sikkim, where one of our partners, the Changemakers Conservation Committee, trained local youth in trekking and mountaineering. And once what happened was that there was a group of French mountaineers who went on a trek led by a youth from Sikkim, a young person from Sikkim, and they wanted to, on one of the nights, they wanted to create a little bonfire, cut some wood, and burn it to keep themselves warm. And because they were in a protected area in a national park where logging is not allowed and you're not allowed to make a fire, the youth didn't really let them do it, even though they offered money. And so they realized how important the role of the youth is in that region. So when they went back to France, they wrote a letter to the President of India saying that if you really want to see youth in action and youth in conservation, you must visit this place. And they congratulated him. So I think these are some really interesting examples of how youth in our Himalayan ecosystems, which are very fragile in nature, are actually taking matters into their own hands and
Thank you, Vedant. Thank you very much. I think you've talked about how you inspire ownership and stewardship to your local regions and take pride in that in the youth, skilling them and connecting them with knowledge resources. I think I'm going to shift gears a little bit to the lowlands. We talked about the highlands and bring in Anish Bali of Ekta Parishad. Anish, are you there? Anish, are you there?
Yes. I'm audible.
Talk a little bit about the work you do in lowlands. I mean, Vedant talked about the highlands, and I think you guys are also present in many countries. So can you talk about the mobilization and the connection with youth that you do in a couple of minutes? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anant, and all of you to giving this great opportunity. And I'm Anish, basically working with Ekta Parishad, and there is a global campaign called Jai Jagat International. So it is very interesting because I'm hearing from Anshuji morning and up to this guy last. It was very interesting, and I'm really learning from the youth process last 6 years. So Ekta Parishad is mainly working in the grassroots area of the country for the land rights and forest rights. Normally what we are saying, people's control over natural resources. So after that long time, I'm after last 6 years, I'm working with urban youth also, how we can connect urban and rural directly. So you can see Go Urban campaign online, how we are working. The main thing is that the challenge, not only for the young, everybody, entire life, we are in a transformation period now, value-based life to money-based life. So that everybody, all of us are affecting that in a big way. Everything we are focusing on money, many values are reducing. And also the same time, which we are all of us are saying we are working with youth organization, we are promoting youth, but how much time we are investing for youth? So normally what we will do that we will do the interest-based invest. How much young have the interest, accordingly we will give the investment of time, resource, and everything. So the thing is that when we are working on the rural part and the urban part, the difference is that skill means something like speaking English and using laptop. Farming is not a skill. That is the common era across the society, even in the urban. So slowly we are trying to take young people into a near-based education. So that is one area which we are working, which is quite successful, because everybody know what is happening in America and London, but they don't know how much trees are cutting near around them, how much seas, rivers are totally polluted. Many land is acquired by multinational companies. So people are really disconnected from the local places. So normally we will say there is a big challenge of disconnection. So farmers are disconnecting from the land. Fisher folks are disconnecting from the water. Adivasis are disconnecting from the forest. Parents are disconnecting from the children. Teachers are disconnecting from the students. So all this disconnection, how we can identify that disconnection and how connect both of them. So we are trying to do a kind of education process which is near-based education and also education for life. Because that is only the way to take young people on the ground, how they will respect rural part, villages, that part we are working. And the learning is very interesting. It is every day I am also learning from young people, and they have everybody talking about solar energy. Somebody was talking how much energy young people, how we can use youth as an energy to produce a peaceful, create a non-violent community. And also the big challenge, because we are focusing to promote non-violent education, to promote non-violent economy, to promote non-violent farming. So each and everywhere we are also trying to take a space for teaching non-violence. What is the importance of non-violence in your life? What is the importance of non-violence in your education? Because entire world is, I told, one is money-based life, another one is promoting violence in huge way, even in politics. So these are the area we are working. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Anish. I think that was fantastic. You said investing in time, mentorship for values. And interestingly, I had to segue into money as well, because a lot of youngsters have ideas, youths have ideas, and they want to, make it practical and make it happen. So now I'm going to bring in Lalita of Plastras. Lalita, are you there?
Anand, just before we go there, can I just take one more minute?
Yeah,
And
please go
Lalita,
ahead, Karen.
please,
Please.
Lalita, please give me a moment. We are coming into our last half an hour actually of the thing. As I said, people always tell us that it's too long, but is never enough for deep conversation where people genuinely want to give and learn, right? And also, before Lalita, I bring you in, I think, I just want to bring a little bit of an international voice, go beyond India a little bit. And we have Gregory with us. And if we could just hear him a little bit before. And then Lalita, over to you, if you don't mind. Yeah? Great. Thank you so very much. Gregory, over to you.
Thank you, Karan. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much for welcoming me to the table. I'm here as a learner. I'm a generalist. I'm listening to all of you specialists, and I've been with UNESCO Bangkok only about 8 months now in the Public Information and Outreach Office, where we do all the editing and assisting of advocacy amongst our specialists, and really getting the word out about things that are happening on the ground rather than necessarily from the institutional level. One of the things I just wanted to say very briefly, I'll be very quick here at the end when remaining minutes should go to the specialists. I've noticed a theme emerging in almost everybody's talks. Akash, early on, Joby, Swati, Rohit, and Priya, especially, how to get youth voices at the table, how to have their voices heard in policy making at the very highest levels, sometimes within government. There's a saying going around the world right now, nothing for us without us. I think it's a beautiful saying, this idea that you don't make policy and impose it on people intending to help them. You make policy with those people. Those people generate that policy from real experience on the ground. And we're very much into that at UNESCO Bangkok. I just wanted to bring to your attention before I go that there's a very fascinating, I have found fascinating as a generalist alone, as an outsider to the specialties here, a program that UNESCO Bangkok started a few years ago called Youth as Researchers, YAR. It is a platform to bring youth together from all over the world and to create smaller groups that conduct data research, on-the-ground research, background research, originally coming out of COVID-19 and the challenges facing youth in COVID-19. And then they have online policy conferences with very high-level ministers of state who come in, listen to their research, listen to their ideas, and possibly invite them into policy making and integrating their ideas and their research into actual policy making. And I should just tell you, if you're interested in that, since you have a wonderful UNESCO office in New Delhi, but we also cover South Asia as well as the Asia Pacific in general here. We are going to have a high-level policy conference online in late March with youth as researchers. And that will be on the 25th of March. And everybody is certainly welcome to join. You can go through our website. And you can see there what people will be doing in terms of having youth voices heard. This means all youth, indigenous youth. We've done a lot recently on indigenous youth and getting their voices heard. And disabled youth, all marginalized youth. We need to have all these people at the table making policy someday. And as you've all said, there's so much energy there. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to do that. There are other programs here by some of our wonderful specialists. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I won't take up more of your time.
Thank you. And I think, Gregory, it's so important, right? I mean, you're absolutely right. The youth are the same all over the world, and they need to be kind of brought into the conversation, and not just in the conversation, into the action. And I think that's amazing. Youth as researchers. Yes, we don't think of them as that, right? We think that how they understand. Brilliant, brilliant. And we look forward to it. Please do post more about that event that's going to happen. And
Thank you.
Please invite us all. We will definitely be happy to be a part of it. Great. Awesome.
Thank you. I've learned so much today. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, we're coming to the end of our conversation, and we really need to start talking about collaboration and what are the opportunities to do things together, knowledge, letting us know of your networks, your initiatives that we could be a part of, as well as maybe exploring how we could maybe partner further and, take this conversation beyond just today, right? And so I think, Naresh, you wanted to come in with a very specific ask in the collaboration scene. So why don't I hand it over to you? Go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. In all our stories of youth, activism, if you want to call it that, putting it very crudely, or these wonderful initiatives that we heard about, one thing which I think comes to mind is that it's not a silo. It is not about young people actually waging this whole thing battle by themselves. There is always an element of collaboration. And I think one of the biggest examples I've seen of intergenerational dialogue and collaboration has been the Imagine movements across the world. I think the first one, which was started by Bliss Brown, which was Imagine Chicago, started with an intergenerational dialogue, young people talking to older people and actually sharing their dreams of what they wanted Chicago to be. And that Imagine movement has gone viral across the world with different cities, even in India, taking it up and saying, hey, what would a new Mumbai or a Bangalore or a Hyderabad look like? My question to the whole room, and I would love to hear something about successful examples that you have had. You had older people and younger people sitting together and actually finding amazing solutions for their communities. I would really love it if you could just put your hand up. You could have some, or maybe
Naresh, I'm going to ask people to ponder on that because it is our close. We want to make sure we get the best answers and also, something really solid going forward. And while they're pondering on that, I'm going to ask Lalita to come in here and tell us more about her work and, of course, the opportunities, because I'm pretty sure she's going to be able to offer us opportunities as well. Lalita, over to you.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for having me in this wonderful space. It's very exciting for me to see the enthusiasm and the youthfulness. And of course, I'm the wrong age group. Yet our work has been...
Young at heart, youth at heart. Absolutely.
So our work has been with women who have a bug or a bee in their bonnet, so to say. And they are sitting in remote locations, rural areas, and they want to do something, and they want to do something in their own space. So we look for women like that, and we work with what we call a micro incubation process. And they develop their own project idea to implement in their own community. So in this, we see this more as a learning project rather than an enterprise. They do a change-making initiative. It does generate income for them. It stabilizes so that they can continue autonomously over a period of 6 months. We have a mentoring support and a fellowship that goes with it. And we've done about 125 such fellowships so far, and they've all been very exciting. So we think that, this gender gap in the economic system is never going to close without women's entrepreneurship being promoted at the very base. And this has to happen at the grassroots level, as well as in communities where women don't have access to money, to voice in the community, and so on. So this has been our journey. And I welcome everybody to look at our website. It's plustrust.org.
Excellent.
And
Thank
on
you.
LinkedIn also you have our stories. But this is a way to go, and we are looking for support and collaboration from all like-minded people to take this forward.
Awesome.
And I can believe, from what I hear, I can believe that there are many of you who see things the way we do. So I do see a great possibility of synergy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Naresh, there you go. Intergenerational initiatives, right?
Absolutely. Perfectly placed, I think. Thank you so much, Lalita. Yeah, and with one more silver haired guy, I agree with Karan. It's all in how young you feel. Yeah. Yes, Karan.
So I think I just want to say that, now that we're coming to the end, please, those who have not spoken, raise your hands and come in. Otherwise, for hold your peace. Okay, we definitely want to get as many voices in. So those who have not yet spoken, we would definitely want you to come in. However, if of course, okay, yes, Meera, definitely. I'm just going to put allow to talk in the interest of time, so that you don't lose you in moving you to the panelists. But please go ahead and share your thoughts, please.
So I have a volunteer-run organization, and we have more than around 450 volunteers. And I'm proud to say half of them are all teenagers and youngsters and students who are doing an amazing job. They can be great teachers. They are good at creating content. They are good with marketing. They're learning so much here on the field, and plus they're contributing so much for the good work that we are doing. So we would love to collaborate with any youth organizations like Rotary, especially, which can give us more teachers and youngsters who want to help the community.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. It makes and again a program for us to look at from collaboration point of view. So yes, thank you, Meera, very much. And yes, we have Brigu or Thakur. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, and please correct me so that we all learn to say it the right way. From Assam, joining us. Go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. I think, yeah, you have rightly spelled my name, Priku Bothakur, and I'm really glad to be a part of this platform. So we have all spoke about the challenges, and yes, just starting off with the Anshuda, he told very significant, points. I'll go on it. But yes, we the most of the population, I think more than 50% of the population are below 30, and there is really a requirement to channelize this energy into a fruitful perspective. And what I think the bigger challenge I see is that the youth, they are very energetic, they're very enthusiastic, and they're very compassionate about doing something, and eventually they start some initiative like I did, or many other young change makers, they have started it. But what I find is that the curiosity among them to finish in a particular deadline or to achieve the goal in a very short time is the bigger challenge I see among the youth. So it might take a decade, or it might take a very long duration to achieve a goal. Now, I just want to discuss some of the points who the various young change makers have, raised today in this panel discussion. I start with the Anshuda. He told that the slum people, the challenges with the slum people, they are treated as a third-rate citizens. They are deprived of many things which, as a human being, they should not be. So I work in various fields. So my point of view in the slum areas and its problems I see is that the compliances, the people who stay in the slum, they don't have the proper, valid documents. They do not have any other things which the children, if they particular children from the slum area, if they want to go to school, they need a birth certificate. But children who are born to the slum areas usually don't have such compliances to be made, and that's why we see that large number of children, they do not in the slum area, they don't go to school. So we should not treat this these slum areas, and we should bring up the policies so that we can register themselves and enroll themselves into the inbuilt infrastructure. Then I see my personal challenges that in disability I am doing, then this education I am doing, in the women empowerment I'm doing. So overall in the discussion we have seen that the youth should be channelized into proper direction. So the people who are doing in the grassroots level, people who are doing in the villages, they should use the existing resources available. What I think, if we see in the villages, the women, they are just restricted to doing the work in the household. So I think they should be channelized. Like what I did is that in Assam, there are many women who are just doing the household workers. So what we did, that we brought the pottery modernization techniques from Bengal, and just make women weaver these potterers using the motorized chucks. The weavers are modernized through various technologies. And in fact, we have two sanitary pad manufacturing units which are empowering thousands of women now. So I think the young change makers who are doing in the grassroots level, they should properly utilize the resources which are available to them at the grassroots level, and that's the big thing. And last thing is that the COVID crisis, the post-COVID crisis, which have discussed and which we have analyzed, the post-COVID crisis has become a bigger solution, a bigger problem, because most of the youth who used to work, or the people who used to work in the cities, they are just migrated to again to the back to their villages. They're forced again. But if they are again forced to go to the villages, so what opportunities we can create for them as a youth should be discussed properly. We should be, the youth who have went back to the villages should be empowered, should be educated with the skill programs, and we can, this way we can help a lot number of people. So that's all from my side.
Thank you so very much, Brigo. Definitely appreciate that insight coming all the way from Assam. And also because I think, we need to have that understanding of urban and rural context, which you brought out so clearly, and the timeline that the time is now for us to do things. So very, very happy to hear that from you. I'm going to bring in Deepali to talk about the program that she posted on the chat box. Deepali, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
This is such a good morning for me. I started my day with so many youths around. I'm also youth. So, but listening to you all was my privilege. And thank you all to, share your wonderful journeys and experiences. It's a lot to learn and a lot to take in. I'm here to say about the Youth Ambassador program that we have yesterday launched in our Financial Literacy Roundtable. So we all know financial literacy as one of the skill that is booming up, and we know that India is being not on the global map as such. So this is our little effort to put India on the global map for financial literacy by creating more awareness around it, and invite all of these youth leaders to take up this program and promote this program in your communities, youth communities. And also, if there are NGOs here who wants to be part of this collaboration, we are happy to go ahead and have this collaboration with you all. The details of this particular program, Youth Ambassador program, are in the social tab of Rice Pico community. I will also put this in our WhatsApp chat, the flyer of this particular program, so it will be easy for you to access from there and spread across your communities. Just to brief little bit about it, it is a program which is a pan-India level, and we are trying to develop a model where one youth is able to educate another. So here we are trying to do a multiple level of things. So please do reach out to us. I will also give my email address just in case you want to directly contact to me. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Deepali. Thanks so much for sharing that over here. I think Anant, I would like you to really come in with the line that you spoke about mental health. I think it's so critical. Again, something we don't think of very much, not very visibly obvious. So please go ahead.
Yeah, it's been something that has been going back and forth, because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and change makers and both social and business entrepreneurs. And recently during the pandemic, that we get hit with so many things on all directions, and to keep our own mental health and to live. I mean, if we live, we create impact. If we die, there is no impact. So you don't want to be a statue, some mala pehna, maybe they won't put a garland around you or whatever. So I think it's really, really important that we talk about mental health of us change makers, because there's so many things coming at us, and I'm seeing that in and out, talking to many people. I have to commend Rohit, who is there here actually to help me through my own mental health issues, because dealing with personalities every day, their egos, their agendas, then there's politics you get distracted with, or outrages you get distracted with. So how do you keep the focus? How do you create a ritual for yourself that you have some space that you come to? Or how do you have, sounding boards for you that people you call and say, listen, I just have to get it off my chest, and then I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm good, new start. So this is really an important conversation, and we have to have, people around us that we make sure are there for us, in such situations, to keep our sanity as we deal with so much craziness. and sit back and also get some perspective and enjoy our impact to some extent. Hey, I did that. You know what? I created some change. I impacted this person in a positive way. This is not good, but you know what? I give 24 hours for me to bitch, whine, and moan, and then I'm over it. I'm on to the next. I'm on to a new, whatever. It's a new day. It's the start of sun. Sun is going to come tomorrow. I'm going to live. I'm going to create an impact, however small it is. And not get tied up with the scale as well, because a lot of people put you down saying, you're only doing for 5 people. You're not impacting all of India, all of Maharashtra, all of the world, or whatever. So, you be fine with that. You find your space saying that, listen, if I impact with my whatever I want to do, if I do it for 2 people, I'm happy today. If I do it for 100 people, great. So getting that perspective, getting, that kind of mentorship, however old you are, however youth you are, I think if all of us can create our own sounding boards and support people around us, and this is what has helped me, and Rohit here, who's there, he's he might be younger than me much way, but you know what, he's been a great sounding board for me for many things, because and I like to bring him to talk about that very little bit, and also recruit for all the things that he does in food, nutrition, and agriculture, because we need more people there. And since I belong to that vertical, I'm really even more passionate about that, and as well healthcare, because I have seen it firsthand with caregiving and also going through the journey myself. We take care of our people. This is Indian culture. We really, there are expectations, perceptions, and all sorts of commitments, and that's a good thing. And it comes with its own thing. So how do we keep our sanity with all our commitments, with all the expectations that people have for us, and live for who we are, and also do the impact that we want to do, and prolong that till the last day and go smoothly? That people need to think about.
Excellent. Thanks. I know. I was just going to say that. Why don't you ask Rohit to come back in real quick and add to this? Yeah. So Rohit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Ananda. That's very kind of you. I would say slightly undeserving as well. But yeah, no. I mean, that's what I guess friends are for in terms of just helping and guiding. And it's been 2 ways that way as well.
Yeah.
Just one more thing on which Anand was mentioning as well. So one of the things which I've been doing for myself initially was trying to just understand the wider ecosystem. Again, there are some people looking at food, some people agriculture, some people nutrition. So that's been one of the earliest things that I've been trying to do, really figuring out the various networks and so on. And again, happy to, there are one looking at women farmers, there are one focusing on tribal farmers, there are one focusing on natural organic farming, there are one from a policy perspective. But again, happy to help guide in case anybody is looking at, these things broadly as well. I just put my email here in chat as well. In case, if anybody is actually interested in food, agriculture, nutrition networks and beyond, looking at
Absolutely.
things.
And I would encourage everybody, whoever would like to share their contacts with others, wants to connect, because this is really a program, as I said, like no other. Please network, please collaborate. This is what we want. That is the reason we are hosting this roundtables, right? I think Meera put a hand up. Did you want to have one quick last word, Meera, before we close for today?
Yeah, so I must say, Karen, this has been a really eye-opener, and it's been really exciting to attend this kind of a seminar where we are given a voice, we are able to hear people from different sectors, and it's been an amazing learning. So congratulations on that, and thank you very much. So a last quick word is we don't realize the potential of the youth today, and we don't trust them enough. We don't give them enough responsibility. I think going forward, that is what we should be able to do as individuals and organizations, and ensure that this place is a beautiful place, and it can happen only when we join hands with the youth.
My goodness, that was a perfect ending. I'm not going to say anything more than that because that is exactly what we want to do, is kind of come together and of course collaborate. So I think we're ready to close now. We're almost at the end, so maybe I'll just go. One of the biggest things about our summit is that it is about the SDGs and the interlinkages of the SDGs, right? And so we constantly say this at all our roundtables, that while everybody presents the SDG, the SDGs are presented as 17 blocks. The reality is that it's really this woolen ball with 17 different colors, completely tightly intertwined, interlinked, integrated, whatever word you want to use, with that is what we really need to think about it. And so every single program we design, every single thing that we do, at the end of the day, if we can keep that in mind. Yesterday, I could not believe in our Health Innovation Roundtable, somebody actually equated child congenital heart disease with climate action. And I was like, what? How? And they said, when the temperature goes up, children are even more susceptible to CHD. I was like, oh my goodness, we really don't think about this, right? The linkages on issues and how, when we are designing solutions, we need to make sure that we bring in as many stakeholder groups to give us their unique perspectives. And I think that is the aim of the RISE roundtables. I also just wanted to maybe say one more thing. We ourselves do programs for youth based on the RISE values, which you all know is the foundation of the RISE World Summit, which again is to move them from awareness to action. I think that is precisely what we look to do in terms of how we can first sensitize them, but then ultimately ensure that they're actually doing things like that. So happy to collaborate even from our side on this.